Hello friends, Justin DeLay from Reverb here. You know, there are more MIDI controllers out there than ever before. A whole wide range of price points, of features, of interfaces. And although there have been more options than ever for you to find ways to be inspired, to make new kinds of music, the choices can be pretty overwhelming. So today we're going to try to answer the question, which MIDI controller is right for me? Okay, so when we're talking about MIDI controllers, we're usually talking about something that's keyboard based. So today we're going to start with keyboard controllers. We'll take a closer look at pad controllers, and then we'll throw in a couple of more interesting and modern takes on MIDI controllers at the end. Let's start with the most basic options available. So this is the Alesis Q49. This is actually my personal MIDI controller, and I'll tell you why I picked this. There are a wide range of options here at this price point. This goes for about $50 used. Many of these options in this price range are going to be basically what you see. Keyboards, some basic controls over here, and that's pretty much it. And that actually can be a really great thing if you just need something simple and you're pretty much focused on playing keys. So why did I choose the Alesis Q49? Well, it has one feature that I think is pretty cool, and that is this. But you got this button, MIDI Select. You push this button. You then up here, you've got these MIDI channels, 1 through 16. In my DAW, I have set up different instruments on different channels, and from right here, I can switch between them. So, like this. Here's drums. This is a bass. And finally, a little bit of classic Juno. Let me just go ahead and turn that arpeggio off. If you're just getting started, you just want to test the waters, maybe you produce in the box and you're looking to go more hands-on, something like this, I think, is a perfect way to get started. In this range, there are a host of great products. Audio makes some stuff, Novation makes some stuff, Akai makes some stuff. Really, it's going to come down to, from my perspective, the feel of the key bed itself. Some manufacturers have softer action, some have stiffer action. I really encourage you to swing by your local music store, check out a couple different options, see what feels natural to you. Let me introduce you to the Akai MPK49. A little bit of trivia for you. I actually own one of these myself. I picked this one because I thought it was the right combination of incremental controls, faders, knobs. All this can be assigned to various parts of your DAW or your virtual instruments, as well as the classic Akai grid of pads for percussion. Again, 49 key keyboard, a little bit stiffer action, but also has aftertouch, which is another way of creating expressiveness into your DAW or your instruments. So one of the really cool features that Akai adds to the MPK range of controllers is a built-in arpeggiator with latch, which is my favorite button. So right there, cool arpeggiator. Cool, so you can see there that they also allow you to change the time division of the arpeggiator in real time, which is a really fun performance technique. Cool, drum pads, but a couple of extra features. I actually have it on full level right now, which means no matter how hard you hit it, you're gonna get full velocity, which is a really nice feature, especially if you're just getting into the world of finger drumming, as well as the classic Akai note repeat so that you can do things like this. Pretty cool. And of course, that note repeat follows the time divisions over here. Perfect for all those hi-hat rolls that you want to put into your next trap song. So this format has become quite popular in the world of MIDI controllers, keyboard, pads, plus knobs and faders. You'll find some really great options from M-Audio, Novation, Nectar, several others. One thing that is slightly different about the Akai is that it comes with preset mappings for several of the popular DAWs as well as virtual instruments. I'm just going to flip through these here so you can see. We've got Ableton Live Lite, propeller head reason, Steinberg Cubase, et cetera, et cetera. Really cool way to just right out of the box, turn the knob to what you're trying to control and have a lot of stuff pre-mapped for you. Okay, so if you are digging the keys, pads, and knobs format, but you're looking for something smaller, maybe something you can throw into a backpack, the Akai MPK Mini has many of the same features as the full-size 249 in a much smaller package. So, for instance, it includes the arpeggiator, the Akai MPK Mini includes the classic Akai percussion pads with note repeat. And again, you can change the time division down here with the keys. So again, a lot of the power of the full-size Akai controller range in a smaller package. Who is this for? Well, once again, I can tell you this is from my own personal collection, and I love this one because I take it on trips with me. And it's just the perfect backpack plus laptop option. There are a lot of options in this range here. Some really great stuff from Arturia and several others. Awesome to have around, awesome to have as a second MIDI controller in your studio. You maybe have a full-size one, have a little one assigned to something else. Really useful utility to have. Usually find them for less than $100. Now let's go even smaller. This is the Keith McMillan keyboard, and this little guy here, if you can see this, is about as small and portable as they get. I really like this one because it's just incredibly portable and versatile, throw it in the backpack. But two, if you do not come from a keys background, and maybe you actually come from more of like a percussion pad background, the keys here are actually individual rubber pads that have that same kind of feel as like an MPC. So there's some extra features here. You can tilt this thing, you can apply pressure to create some control signals, but right out of the box, beautiful, simple, little MIDI keyboard, perfect for all of your on-the-go music-making adventures. When you get up into the top end of the MIDI controller range, what you're gonna find are products like this. This is the Arturia Key Lab Mark II. And the real benefit here, again, fairly similar layout, pads, knobs and faders, key bed, but the real differentiator is going to be the tight integration with the software that comes along with it. So Arturia, in addition to making keyboard controllers and synthesizers, also makes really, really great virtual instruments with lots of features, lots of capabilities, lots of virtual knobs to tweak. And the real benefit of something like this is that you get everything pre-mapped. So what do I mean by that? Check this out. You can see up here it's cutoff, resonance, LFO mount, etc. They've gone through thousands of presets and have already pre-mapped a lot of the controls. So you can certainly build these kinds of mappings with an Akai or an Ovation or all the other cool ones that are out there. You're just going to go in and individually assign knobs and faders. You can definitely build these, and once you've got them built, reuse the templates, obviously. If you are a little bit more impatient or ready to just dive right in and make some tunes, something like the Arturia can be a great way to get started right away. Now let's talk about pad controllers. So again, if you're a beat maker or you come from the world of the MPC, or you just sit around finger drumming on a table all day, a MIDI pad controller can be a really low cost, really simple way to add an entirely new expressive element to your music making. Even if you already have a keyboard MIDI controller, something like the PreSonus Atom, found for less than $100, can be a really cool second MIDI controller. Here, you can see this is the classic 4x4 grid of highly responsive pads. Additionally, this particular unit from PreSonus has specific integrations into PreSonus Studio One DAW. So if you're a Studio One user, this is a great value. But even if you are Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic, etc., right out of the box, you get a really high quality 16 pad rhythm controller that does stuff like this. Now for a slightly different take on pad controllers, this is the DJ Tech Tools MIDI Fighter 3D. And right away, what you'll see is instead of having a collection of rubberized pads, this actually has arcade buttons. DJ Tech Tools makes the point of saying that they went with these buttons for two reasons. One, they're super durable. If you think about video game arcades, a lot of sticky fingers. And two, they actually have a bounce back to them. They kind of respond, and you can actually develop some dexterity, and you can almost kind of play this like an instrument. I'm not much of a finger drummer, so I'm not going to demo that for you today, but if you are getting deeper into finger drumming and you're looking for something a little bit more expressive, something that really is kind of customized to your needs, and you don't love rubber pad controllers, I really recommend taking a closer look at the MIDI Fighter range. It's been out for a while now. There's a couple different sizes, a couple different price points. There are some crazy features like tilt, which can be mapped to various parameters in your DAW, plus it just looks cool. And it's really, really fun as an alternative way of creating beats. Let's say you are just starting out and you're saying to yourself, I don't know if I want a pad controller or a keyboard controller. Well, here's a really cool product from a company called Sensel, a fairly new company. And their innovation here, if you can see these are each individual overlays on top of this basic little platform here. And as you could probably imagine, this is drums. Also drums, some additional controls, and then finally a keyboard controller as well. You can see that there, a little bit extra vibrato. Okay, so who is this for? Well, first of all, like I said, you have the option of really customizing the device with the various templates that they offer, and there are additional that are available, but Sensel makes a point of demonstrating how the Morph can be used beyond the world of music production. You can use it as a drawing tablet, you can use it for other types of input into different creative applications like graphic design software, etc. So if this seems interesting to you, I definitely recommend taking a closer look at some of the video content that Sensel's put out and see if maybe it might actually work for you beyond the world of music. Now we are going to take a look at really the top end of the pad controller range. So this is the Native Instruments Maschine. This is the Mark III version. The Mark III version adds an audio interface to the back as well as some other cool features. Really, really useful if you are a producer or a DJ. You just want to take this and a laptop, have everything you need to go play a gig. If you don't need the audio interface that's built in, take a look at the Mark II or even the Mark I versions. All basically functionally operate the same, but you'll save a little bit of money. The Maschine is, again, a percussion-based controller. They have their keyboard controllers as well. And the big win, if you go Native Instruments, is the software integration. This, in many ways, is like a modern MPC. And so much so, in fact, that you can really spend a lot of your time building your beats and doing sound design right here on the hardware. It's got these beautiful screens without ever even really looking at the computer. And that's really that kind of integration, that experience is what you get when you jump up to the top end of the range. Again, this is a fully featured percussion sequencer. You've got your pads. feel great, really, really responsive, multicolor so you can really see what's going on. This has got full step sequencing, it's got sampling, it's got arranging. You could build your whole song just inside of Maschine. And again, if you come from the world of the MPC or sampling to build your beats, I really encourage you to take a look at this range. I think you're going to find the workflow very similar with some of the modern niceties of having a computer-based workflow. Okay, so now we are taking a look at the Ableton Push 2. So this is a MIDI controller like everything else we've seen, but unlike just about everything else, which is meant to be more generic, this is purpose-built to control Ableton Live software. So all of your recording, all of your looping, playing virtual instruments, adding effects, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The goal of the Push is to make everything that you can do in Ableton Live hands-on, right here, 8x8 grid of velocity-sensitive pads, a row of knobs, a beautiful screen, a bunch of controls. This is the most expensive of the MIDI controllers that we're taking a look at here today. And the reason for that is because, in my experience, it offers the most hands-on control for the performer across all the aspects of creating, mixing, arranging, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can see here we've got a 4x4 grid of drum sounds. You can also treat this as a clip launcher. So if you have a bunch of loops created in Ableton Live, you can treat this as your session view and trigger various clips. There are multiple keyboard layout modes. Sweet. And you can change your scales, you can change the layout, tons of customization here. And you also have hands-on control of all of the built-in effects and capabilities of Ableton up here on the screen. So here's just a really simple example. If you really start to go deep here, whether it's on the Ableton Live Push or the Novation Launchpad series, you can really treat this as almost a new instrument and really develop some dexterity and some expressiveness on the 64 button grid interface. If you're curious about this, I definitely recommend checking out some of the work by Jonathan Stein, as well as a whole host of really, really talented artists on YouTube. You'll be blown away by what people are able to really play and accomplish on this grid here. Last but not least, I wanted to just give a quick mention to some of the controllers that have been released recently that I think are really forward-looking, maybe a little bit more experimental, but certainly more expressive. And I think where MIDI controllers are heading next is further and further away from the classic black and white keys, 4x4 button grid, towards much more expressive interfaces. Like for instance, here we have, this is the Rolly blocks. This is part of a more modular wireless music making system. It's a multi-touch pad controller with all these different LEDs. You can sync this up to Ableton, do a bunch of other stuff with it. It works with an iPhone as well. Really cool product. This is the Expressive Touche. This is a really flexible surface up here, and this is really cool for doing things like vibrato or filter sweeps, and really the sky's the limit. This can be mapped in many different ways, has CV outputs, so a really cool addition to modular as well. And then finally, this is the Keything Key Neo. This is a pad controller ostensibly, but as you can see, it's really, really thin, and the pads here have additional signal inputs for your position of your finger on the pads, which adds a whole new layer of control and expressiveness. All of which is to say, whether you are just shopping for something really simple in the $50 range, all the way up into something more experimental and kind of pushing of the limits, now is a great time to be exploring the world of MIDI controllers. There are more options than ever before, and you can find them on Reverb. So hope you had fun, hope you learned something, and if you discover a MIDI controller that you think is a great value or has some cool features, please, of course, as always, drop it in the comments below.